The real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes. Marcel Proust. In 2016, there was a trial with Ripple, R3, 12 banks, and XRP.
Working with Ripple at all as a company? I know that there was some extracurricular activity that was working its way through the courts, but and it's since been resolved. But I'm
R3 and Ripple had a contract, and in the contract, R3 was able to buy 5 billion XRP at 0.0085, a fraction of a penny.
I'm curious if there's ongoing discussions, since one of their primary focus is on the interbank settlement component that you're also touching.
So, frankly, Ripple's probably the only topic I can't talk about.
R3 and Ripple sued each other and countersued each other over this contract. R3 was supposed to promote Ripple to their consortia. Ripple did not feel R3 was holding up their end of the bargain, so they did not want to pay the 5 billion XRP.
So I just had to talk about it. I can't talk about it. I can't talk about it.
Ripple said in the claims that although R3 represented to Ripple that it would have access to its large consortia of leading banks, R3 knew and had reason to know that several key banks that would be instrumental to Ripple's success would soon be departing from its consortia. This refers to Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, and Santander, who chose not to remain in R3's consortia of almost 40 banks. These banks have moved forward with their own initiatives, and Ripple is involved with all of them. The private asset networks that are being built are going to be bridged by XRP.
The following animation will show a network of participants using Corda Settler. Company A and Company B are the counterparties. They are using a notary service on Corda, and they both have access to nodes in other payment systems. For this demo, XRP is the chosen payments rail.
R3 and Ripple settled the lawsuit. After the settlement, it was announced that Corda Settler would utilize XRP.
I'm very excited about digital assets. We have lots of digital asset applications and networks that are going live. And what we're starting to see is a demand or a pull for digital payments, or whether that's on-chain payments, things like stablecoins, integration to existing payment providers. Because you come back to what is the point of all this? It's to simplify the world for those that are building applications, launching networks, and running things.
Consortia across the board built by R3 are going to need to be bridged. Private permission networks are closed-loop systems. These networks will need to transfer value to each other. This is where a crypto asset will be useful. There was a reason XRP was the first to be listed on Corda Settler. R3 can buy 5 billion XRP at sub 1 penny, and they had a proof of concept that they have been working on this for a long time. The banks that left the R3 consortia set up their own private networks. Interoperability is key.
Especially from a Corda perspective, there was just a recent report that came out from the IEEE looking at the NIST Framework, which essentially goes around and looks at emerging technologies to evaluate whether or not they're fit for federal use in the US. And Corda actually emerged as the only platform in the study that was fit for government use. And as such, our team internally is doing a lot of work with the federal government here in the US and governments abroad as well. So I think that there's definitely interest, and I think we'll definitely see some real use cases coming into play, into commercial use in the coming years.
Corda is the standard for governments. When governments want to utilize blockchain technology, they're going to use Corda.
I'm the president of the European Central Bank, which is the custodian of something that belongs to you, the youth of Europe. We are the custodian of the euro, which is your currency for your future. I would like to join the call for action of the United Nations to engage you in participating in the policy debate that we have. What will the future hold when it comes to monetary policy? when it comes to the price stability which defines and is the mandate of the European Central Bank? Well, what matters is the euro, banknotes, or digital currency?
She is foreshadowing. She's telling you that a digital currency is going to be a monetary tool. A monetary tool for price stability.
What matters is fiscal policy, working hand in hand with monetary policy? Yes. But how will that be managed in the future? That's your future. What about climate change, and does it impact on price stability? And does it matter for your future? All those questions are relevant and important and actually touch on or sometimes determine what we at the European Central Bank have to do to be good custodian of our common good, the euro.
This video was released August 12th, 2020. Lagarde says that central banks and governments have to work together. She also gave concern about the debt. She specifically mentioned central bank digital currency and green energy. CBDCs is a new monetary tool. They're going to tokenize negative yielding debt to keep this Ponzi scheme going.
Partners and applications and networks that are running on top of Corda, I think are quite helpful because, as a very smart friend of mine said, don't let your facts get in the way of my opinion. So we want to bring some of the facts here around what's actually out there and being used in production. So two, one, in Italy, there's the Sputna project, which is live with, I think, over 30 Italian banks that are live and a Corda Enterprise network. And by the end of the year, there'll be 80% of the Italian Banking Association will be live.
Italy is insolvent. They are a burden on the ECB. The ECB has to constantly bail out Italy. Now we discover that Corda has been working on an Italian consortia. 80% of Italian banks are going to be on Project Sputna. How is value going to be moved from one private network to the next?
So this is really important because if you take all these themes we've talked about, number one, you have an infrastructure provider in SIA, and you have NTT Data that's helping deliver the application, and you have a governance framework that ABI and ABI Labs and the Italian Banking Association is putting forward, because this is bootstrapping an existing ecosystem into a new digital transformation world.
Bootstrapping an existing ecosystem into a digital transformation world. Also note that NTT Data has been working with Ripple since the very beginning, and Cyanet is working with the Quant network. The overledger that the Quant network uses is interoperable with XRP.
And the second one is another one that flies a little bit under the radar, going back to ecosystems, is the blockchain for procure to pay network in Thailand. This is Digital Ventures and Siam Commercial Bank taking their existing sort of vertically integrated supply chain ecosystem and be able to launch a supply chain financing network with Siam Cement Company. And at the current count, they have 4,000 affiliated corporates within that supply chain financing that are on this network. So these aren't POCs. These are live implementations.
Siam Commercial Bank, the bank that partnered with Ripple. A division of Siam Commercial Bank called the Siam Cement Company worked on a project with Digital Ventures. Digital Ventures invested in Ripple. R3 was responsible for the Bank of Thailand's payment system, called Project Intheon. All of these networks are working together for a global goal.
And those are just two examples. We have a bunch of others, and we love all of our partners. But there are real things that are happening here. There are challenges we have to work through. So it's up to all of us to, I think, focus on how we can help make our customers successful as they move from a paper-based economy into a new digital economy that's being spurred by all the events happening around us.
So all these private consortia are live, and the COVID crisis is accelerating everything. As he stated, we're going from a paper-based economy into a digital economy.
What are the things we can do to try and reduce this time to market, condense it to get to value, and maybe put that blockchain under the surface and put the solution up front.
They've been working on the infrastructure. The surface is companies using these consortia.
A critical difference, but I think long term, there's definitely potential to see crypto, replacing, dollar or fiat currency as kind of a daily currency.
You've watched the pieces being positioned on the chessboard. Checkmate is going to happen in a few moves.
Well, number one, as a challenge, we have a common enemy, and this is across the entire blockchain space, and that's complexity.
Later today, a proof of concept with R3, an R3 blockchain on trade.
Ridding the world of Nostro and Vostro accounts. The private networks that R3 has built connect to SWIFT GPI. But the dollar is crashing. USA is cutting countries off from the SWIFT network. Settling in a digital asset will breathe life into trade. XRP is trade 2.0. Everything is set up and checkmate will happen in one move.
Where you can initiate a payment on the trade platform and then it goes into GPI. So we're exploring interconnectivity with a lot of things, and banks have always been about that interconnectivity.
Corda is going to unplug SWIFT GPI and plug in RippleNet.
I think we are moving into a new world order. I think the Internet of Value, Ripple talks a lot about what payments look like, not just today, but in 10, 20 years. And when we think about that, we talk about this Internet of Value. How do we let value move the way information moves today?
We are healed from suffering only by experiencing it to the full. Marcel Proust. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. I spend a lot of time and energy on my videos. If you enjoy them, please consider joining my Patreon.